Hello, I am Bookface. Now we are here to answer the biggest question. What does the fox say? But yes, in old fables, foxes were seen as symbols of being sneaky. Cunning, I guess, but more in a bad way. Ow. Trying to do a thumbs down. But if you go to East Asia, then a lot of them would have a different view of the fox. Well, not exactly different, just way more intense. So the fox spirit is a sort of magical creature from a few East Asian countries. East Asian. And while they all have different names, they mostly are pretty similar, more or less. The first of these fox spirits is probably the most famous, the kitsune, or kitsune. I don't know where the emphasis is, kitsune or kitsune. As they grew, they also gained more tails, starting with 5 tails, then going up to 9 tails. Now, if you're a fan of Pokemon, this may sound familiar. Yep, they were very creative with the name Ninetales. Okay, so a kitsune is actually just a very old fox. But if they reach 1,000 years old, they transform into a creature called a tenko. I have no idea how to pronounce it. I'm probably butchering it. I'm sorry, Japan. And that's sort of like a celestial version of the kitsune. It just kind of ascends into the heavens. So, good for the kitsune. But what happens when it's on Earth? Because it takes 1,000 years to ascend. Now, whether or not a kitsune is good or evil is kind of hard to tell, but they are very powerful, so don't tick one off. They have the ability to shapeshift, and not just like turning into an animal, but turning into any person. They could look like anyone. They could look like me right now. But for some reason, the kitsune usually takes the form of a woman. Nothing wrong with that, of course. It's just, I don't know, oddly specific. What about the male kitsunes? Where are they at? Of course, the shape-shifting for the kitsune wasn't always perfect. In the human form, they still had the shadow of a fox and also the reflection of a fox. It's not just the vampires that need to hide from the mirrors now. This was one of the ways that people could tell if a kitsune was a kitsune or an actual person. Stare at their shadows. Just like watching them around, shining a flashlight on them. Glare! But in terms of actual powers, they are very intimidating. It's believed they could shoot fire and lightning from their tails. They could become invisible at will, and if you've read The Invisible Man, you know that's not a good thing. They could see into the future, which honestly sounds like more of an issue for them. And we get back to one of my least favorites, dream manipulation. Yep, they could mess with your dreams. Along with the ability to manipulate the mind in dreams, the kitsune can do the same thing while you're awake. Kitsune were supposed to be able to make illusions so real that, just sum it up to say, the illusion seemed very real. But what is this powerful magical creature's one weakness? Doggos. Yep, kitsune are terrified of dogs. And if you have a dog in front of a kitsune, they'll immediately turn into a fox and run away. A little anticlimactic, but I'm cool with that. Next we have the kumiho, or gumiho, I don't know. The kumiho being a Korean fox spirit. Unlike the kitsune, which I think sort of makes it seem like all foxes in Japan can turn into kitsune, or are kitsune, and can sort of ascend. But in Korea, they have to live for 1,000 years before they can become a kumiho, which is probably a good thing. Well, I don't think a fox lives that long. Can we get up that life expectancy meme? Feel like we need that meme in here. Now, unlike the kitsune, the kumiho has 9 tails already, but also there's not usually any debate on whether they're good or evil. They're just evil. They, they also shapeshift into women, but for a specific reason. Unlike the kitsune, which just kinda like that form. But the kumiho turn into females to seduce men and lure them away and kill them. Once they had killed the person, they would oh jeez, they would eat its heart or its liver. Is that like an and or thing, or they just like go get a heart from one, get a liver from the other? Pancreas from this guy. Looks good. Jeez. Gumiho also had something called a Yeogisu, which I know I'm mispronouncing horribly, which was some kind of like marble-like thing that contained knowledge and wisdom. So even though a Kumiho is supposed to always be evil, it could be cured of being evil. The ways are kind of weird. One way is if somebody was able to, I guess, detain a Kumiho and prevent them from eating flesh for 1,000 days. And doing the math, that's roughly 2 years and 9 months. So that's a long time commitment. They could also be cured using a Sintamani, which I looked up and it's some kind of wish granting thing, which honestly just kind of seems like cheating. Here's the one that confused me the most. Not because it's overly difficult or very bizarre, but because it's so very simple. One way to cure a kumiho is to make them see the moon once every month. So you have to make them see the moon once a month. You know that thing's out every night, right? How do they not do that anyways? How do they avoid the moon for an entire month? Honestly, that's its most impressive supernatural ability. Moon avoidance. It avoids the moon like I avoid my social life. Or lack thereof. The last fox spirit is something called a Huli Jing. And if you've watched Bird Box, then you know that's mentioned. Doesn't fit the scenario at all, but hey, cool shout out to mythology. Now, the Huli Jing is sort of along with the Kitsune in the fact that it could be good or evil, just depending on their mood. Some think that Huli Jing is like shorter than the average person, but others say they're normal size, so it's hard to say. Of course, if you can't tell they're a Huli Jing by their height, you could always just notice that Huli Jing always has claws and teeth. Very pointy teeth, even in human form. I feel like that should be an obvious one. Now, I'm not exactly sure what good Huli Jing do, probably just keep to themselves and aren't recorded, but the bad Huli Jing. So they find a victim, then they shapeshift into either that person's friend or a dead person that person knew and try to infiltrate their group to kill them, I guess. I'm not exactly sure. Also, if it's a dead person that the guy knows, and he knows they're dead, don't you think that's going to be a little more? It would honestly be more conspicuous for a dead person to come up to their old friend in life and be like, "Hey, bud," than it would be for some sharp-clawed, sharp-toothed, random short person coming up to him and be like, "Hey, you want to be friends?" That's a horrible image. Both of those are horrible images. Now, to kill a Huli Jing, first, you get them drunk. Going the Cyclops route in this one. But once a Huli Jing gets drunk, it reverts back into a fox, which I don't really understand. Why does it just automatically turn into a fox if drunk? But then, once it's back into a fox, you have to catch that fox and chop its tail off. And then the Huli Jing will die. Because something about the power being in the tails. Tails? Is it multiple tails? Does this one have 9 tails too? I'm pretty sure this thing has 9 tails, so we have to cut off its tails. I don't know why its power is just stored in this little in the foxtails behind it. Like that just seems like a weird place to store your power. Where do you store your power? My butt. Additionally, there's something called spirit paper, which I'm pretty sure is like a folded paper. I don't have the exact specifics. Basically, you fold a spirit paper in the shape of a fox, then you burn it, and any Hulijing in the area just turn into foxes. Could you imagine being in a crowd and somebody just quietly burning a paper in the corner, and then just like a couple dozen people just turn into foxes and run away? It would be a trip. Okay, now to the thing I forgot about the Hulijing, which is other things. It can bring on disease and illness. One of which, I'm not gonna go in depth, but it's something called Koro. I I would not suggest looking it up, but sum it up to say it's not good. And I would probably go after Hulijing if I thought they were doing that. Sounds horribly painful and embarrassing. But yeah, that's the end of the video. So, you found out that the fox says death. So cool. So if you like this video, then please like it, comment, and then subscribe. If you have any other creatures you want to hear about, put that in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.